Good morning, students. Now with part 4, Mr. Mikover explained how Uriah Heep stole all the money which people gave to Mr. Wakefield to look after, including Miss Ant's money, Miss Betsy's money. He can prove that Uriah Heep forced Mr. Wakefield to make him a half owner in his company, and he stole all the money from people. Trodless said that Mr. Mikoper gave him the account books which proved that. Uriah Heep realized that he had lost. He told them in a broken voice, what do you want me to do? Trodless told him to give back all the money that he stole or go to prison, and that he will no longer be a partner in Mr. Wakefield's house anymore or in his business. He looked like a beaten dog. Miss Betsy Trotwood was grateful to Mr. Mikover, and she wanted to thank him for helping her to restore all her money. She suggested him to travel to Australia. She asked him, have you or your family ever thought of going to Australia? He told her that it was his dream since he was a child. Then she told him that she will fulfill his dream and make it come true. With the money from Miss Betsy's aunt, Mr. Mikover began to make his plan to travel to Australia. At the same time, Mr. Peggotty was looking for his niece Emily. He at last found Emily. After meeting her old friend Martha, she told him that Emily is staying in a dark room in a small house in London. Upstairs, he found Emily tired and unhappy, but she was glad to see him. She told him that she loved Steerforth from all her life, from all her heart, and she wanted to be a lady. At first he loved her, but he became tired of her, and she traveled to France and Italy trying to find a work, but she didn't find, and she failed, and she couldn't do anything. Of course, she didn't want to return back to Yarmouth as she was ashamed of herself, and she didn't want to meet Ham. So Mr. Mikover suggested her to travel to Australia to begin a new life. But before traveling to Australia, he will travel to Yarmouth to prepare himself. David Copperfield went with him to Yarmouth to prepare himself. Also, he wanted to see Ham. David Copperfield asked Mr. Peggotty, how will Ham do? Mr. Peggotty told him that his sister, Miss Peggotty, will look after him. They went to Yarmouth to complete the arrangements for the long journey to Australia. Ham was still unhappy, but Ham asked David Copperfield not to tell Emily that Ham is not unhappy because he doesn't want her to be unhappy. Ham was so sad, and Mr. Peggotty returned to London, and after weeks he gave a letter to Mr. Copperfield to give it to Ham. Copperfield decided to deliver the letter to Ham in person, so he went to Yarmouth, but it was a very terrible storm. The sea was rough and the waves were higher than a house. David Copperfield knew that there was a ship sinking in the sea. Although he was tired and didn't sleep all the night, he went to the sea to see the fish sinking. The local fisherman was looking out toward the broken ship, and there was a man standing on the deck of the ship, waving and shouting for men to help him. One fisherman pushed through the crowd and tied a rope around himself. It was Ham. When I knew that it was Ham, I shouted, Ham, stop! You cannot save him! But Ham did not hear me or pretended not to hear me. He ran across the sand and dived into the sea. He was so small against the ship. There was a wave, then another wave crashed into the sea. At last, Ham disappeared underwater, and men began to pull him back with the rope. It was seemed to take an hour, but minutes later he was lying at my feet, and I realized that he was dead. Thanks so much.